Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of YOMO, a year of magical learning. I think 140 is about meditation, so let's talk about meditations.
It is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, which is funny because you know my thoughts on most philosophy books in general. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I did not enjoy this book at all. I was bored out of my mind, and it was not something that I felt very connected to, but any way, shape, or
So
form.
how did you stumble across this book?
Meditations. Well, I got into like Stoicism, reading about Stoicism just to kind of learn more. I had always heard a lot of people talk about I've been reading a lot about just general philosophies of life and stuff like that. And Stoicism kept coming up from areas that was of interest to me. And Marcus Aurelius is one of the most famous Stoics that kind of led that whole entire, he was probably one of the
But
three
I
or
guess you
four.
beg to differ.
What's that?
I guess you beg to differ.
No, I don't beg to. I think some of his writings were interesting. The keep a journal, right? That is the interesting part about it, right? Like this is the cool thing that I thought from reading the book Meditate. This is what it made me think about was, look, I didn't necessarily like gush and fall in love with with Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, which is basically his journal, right? I mean, it was basically journal entries that he was writing for himself.
But that's what you said before, is writing is a form of meditation.
It is.
You said it yourself.
Oh yeah, 100%.
This is his journal. It's not like he's trying to write a book.
No, not at all. Actually, that's exactly what I said. So Meditations is a book about his personal journal writings, by Marcus Aurelius. And
I jumped again.
Yeah, you did. No, but
it's a habit of mine.
And I wrote on here, like, if I had to guess, like you said, I doubt he ever thought this was ever going to become a book. He wasn't writing a book, right? He was just writing his thoughts and working through his own values and virtues and things that mattered to him in his life. I don't know if he ever thought anyone would ever read this, and I don't know if he cared. But even if he didn't intend to, writing down his words well, we're talking about it now. And I don't know how many years later, like 161 to 180 CE. I have no idea how long ago that was. A couple thousand years ago. I don't know how long ago it was, but we're still talking about this stuff today. And you see people like the Ryan Holidays of the world. When is that? How long ago is that? I should say how long. I don't know the answer. How this works. I don't know what CE is. Anyway, long story short, it was a long time ago that he wrote this stuff, and I guarantee you he didn't think anybody was ever going to see these things. But that's the thing about journals is you don't write them for yourself. This whole reflection was really about the power of journaling for me. And for me personally, journaling has probably been that Matthew Kelly book early on, the Resisting Happiness book, which is about 10 minutes a day, can change your life. I mean, it really can, just sitting down every single day, whether you're frustrated, happy, sad, whatever, just working through your thoughts, working through, various emotions and feelings and what's going on that day and preparing for the day and any ideas that might be sparked in your mind, anything that you're happy about, anything that you're sad about, anything that you're, frustrated about, whatever it may be, you can just sit down every single morning. For me, I find an incredible amount of value just sitting down and get my thoughts out. I like to call that my God time. It's meditation for me. Like you said, the book is Meditations, it's my time to talk to the God in my mind, right? And to say how I'm feeling and to have somebody there to listen to me. And then it comes out of me, just spews out of me in the words on the page, right? So I don't know where I would be without the journal in my life. It's, I wrote on this reflection, it's been 34 years before, Amelia was born. I don't remember anything from my life. I kind of remember some of the big highlights and big moments, like graduations or marriages or, some aspects of jobs or maybe some highlights from sports and stuff like that as a kid. But to be fair, if you ask me how was I feeling in these certain moments or what were my emotions or how did I process through this, I don't know what I learned. I didn't document any of this stuff for my entire life. I didn't write it down, and that sucks. I'll always, I'm not like going to dwell on it, but for 34 years of my life, I don't have that documented at all. I don't know. For myself, not for other people, but just for myself. I don't remember how I felt. A lot of times we'll be talking to friends about things when I was younger, and I don't remember. I kind of remember the event, but I don't remember anything other than what they're telling me. I don't remember shit about when I was a kid or anything like that. So that all kind of changed for me. The day that Amelia was born, as we've talked about, is when I really started my journaling. As of this writing, it was 681 straight days of me sitting down to share my thoughts with my daughter and God every single day since she'd passed away, plus the 121 days of journaling when she was alive here with us. I think as of today, I'm on day 755, so plus 121. So anyway, yeah. So I mean, it's been ingrained in me at this point in time to get my thoughts out and to write about what I care about most in this world, to write to my daughter, to write about, work through my core values, work through the challenges that I'm going through, my monthly challenges, like we were just talking about with fasting, and trying to figure out, solve my own problems, figure out how I want to live my purpose, I guess, every single day. And that's the power of keeping a journal, man. It can really change your life, and you can start to discover yourself. And I appreciate Marcus Aurelius for taking his time to write down his thoughts. And, this particular reflection is more about me wanting to do what he did. And I think we all owe it to our children, our grandchildren, our great grandchildren, past and present, yourselves. I would love to be reading the journals of my great great grandfather or something like that, and figure out what was important to him, or true, someday, reading your journals about what you learned when you were 25 years old and you were drinking 18 Red Bulls a day and 900 cups of coffee, and like whatever was going on in your life. I mean, it's just different moments and different times of your life. It's important to capture this stuff and to write it down. I mean, I'm just a huge fan.
Yeah, it definitely would be a lot helpful, because we tend to lose those memories as time passes.
Yeah, and we lose the lessons. That's the most important thing. We don't just lose the memories, we lose the lessons. I've talked to you about this a few times now. I'm slowly forgetting how painful Amelia's whole life was and what our family went through, and losing her. I'm slowly forgetting that. I don't wake up every day with that pain anymore, but honestly, like when I wrote the book, the I Can't Imagine book, I'm so glad that I wrote it when I wrote it, because I wouldn't feel the same way right now. I don't remember the details anymore. Purging it out of my head at that time in my life, it was therapeutic for me, but it was necessary for me to do it then, because I couldn't do the same book later on down the road. It was important for me to be able to share her life the way that I remembered it, as closely as I could remember it. And the only way you can do that is write it down.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, without the journal that you had kept at the hospital, your book would not be able to walk us through the vividness of the event that happens there. And that details there is, like I say, in all the books I've read, right? This is a book there where I'm actually can picture myself walking with you at a hospital, walking with you through every single thing that you have to jump through, just because you kept a journal. All the details there, it may not seem relevant, but it adds to the vividness of the story itself. And I think having a journal is the only way for you to do that. Because if you were to write a book 2 years from now, all those things would be completely imaginary, because you would it made up something, because it just get erased from the memory, from your memory. You only remember the gist of the beginning, the end, and the middle. Everything else isn't as vivid. So it's hard to portray an image as an artist would portray. When an artist draws something, they draw from the background first. They look at the background information before it goes to the actual focus on the object itself. And doing that is to me is the only way to do, kind of make that fresh. The other thing that comes to my mind is, when you actually write something down. I agree with you in terms of when you said meditation, writing is a form of meditation. And writing is essentially in the way that I can imagine, because I'm a programmer, it's a storage. If you don't store it, you're gonna have to hold it in memory. That takes away from your ability to process the stuff that you need, like at the current moment. So when you write something, whether it's a concept, a lesson, deadlines, or even pain, you write it down. It eases your cognitive load, because you feel less pain if you write it down. You feel less burden on having a deadline if you write it down, because hey, I wrote it down, I saved it somewhere. Just like you have a computer memory, you have the RAM, which is always running and always keeping in information. Then you have a hard disk. Once it's saved to the hard disk, it frees that load, that RAM space, for the other stuff to be processing. And the more it has space to do, the better it processes. The brain does the same thing, is having the ability to offload whatever that you have and put it into a storage, and people will call it back. But if you don't, it always going to keep it up in your top of mind, which is basically the RAMs of the computer. And when it does that, you have very little capacity to do the work, whether you're doing something for work, do something for the family, for anything else.
Agreed. I don't know if you remember when I was telling you, there's been many a times where I'm out on a run and I'm listening to like an audiobook and I'll hear something that I'm like, oh man, I got to remember that. And like while the book's playing, I just repeat the same sentence over and over again. Whatever that idea was that I wanted to hold on to as I'm running, I'm like, I used to do it where I would just, eventually there was a couple of times where I was trying to do it and listen to the book and I would try to repeat it back in my head, maybe like every minute. But then I would get home and it would be like 20, 30 minutes later on a run or something like that. And then I'm like, what was that again? You know, it was gone. Right. And then I got really frustrated. So then what ended up happening was whenever I would hear something that really stuck in my mind, I would turn off my earbuds and just fully focus on that thought so I could get home to pull my phone out of my little thing, to type it down to my Evernote thing, to be like, oh my God, thank God it's gone. You know, I can come back to it when I'm going to write. But now it gets even worse. I don't even do that anymore because I was like, oh, I'm in the middle of, running. Like, I can just wait till I get home. Now I just said, fuck it. Like as soon as it happens, like I've given myself permission to be like, that's it. Just stop. I unstrap my arm thing. I pull my phone out. I type the damn note, even if it takes me a minute or whatever in the middle of my run. I'm like, oh, thank God it's over. And then I can go back to just running. It's that important for me these days. So just get it documented and get it out of my mind, because it does hurt. It just sits there. And if you don't get it out, then it just poof, it's gone.
You actually carrying something, even though you don't remember, but you carry the haziness of your brain. Your brain is cloudy whenever you're trying to think about something because you have something you're carrying, but you don't know what it is you're carrying. So that's how important it is for you to write down. So not only, because for me, this is probably more of a benefit than the journal of keeping the story. But this is even more important as we live every day, just because if you don't clean and have a clear mind, right? It's harder for you to focus and do something great. Whether that's now doing a business plan, executing on some ad campaign, thinking about new business ideas, whatever it is, like coming up with a presentation for your job, whatever it is, have an interview. If you don't have the ability to clear your mind, it's be hard because you don't have to remember it, but it still takes space. It's just junk space. If you understand any programming, like when you allocate something and you don't clear it out, it still has old dirty values in there. It's just not being clear. It's just not being addressed anymore. I mean, you don't have a pointer to it anymore, but at the same time, it still takes up space. A lot of times we don't realize that we're carrying unknown and fulfill pieces of data in our minds, and we only have a limited capacity to do the other stuff. And we're constantly trying to swap out different things. But if you're able to take all these things and say, I'm going to take it off of my brain and store it somewhere, writing is that equivalent of having the ability to clear your mind. And when you clear, because even for a deadline, your brains are very good at this. If you say, hey, I have to do a presentation tomorrow, and you say, I have to get up at 4 a.m., whatever, your body actually subconsciously is trying to wake you up at 4 a.m. tomorrow. If you're healthy and whatnot, your body actually wakes you up without the alarm at 4 a.m. because you told yourself, your brain will actually keep track of it. And that's just the power of having that conscious, and the subconscious takes over the burden, right? That burden will hold until it's either completed or stored. You either finish the deadline, hey, I finished my presentations, I wrap it out and put it into my backpack, right? In my briefcase for tomorrow presentation or whatever. You won't feel that sense of ease until that happens, or until you say, well, I'm going to put it on a calendar, I'm going to put an alarm on it, and then I'm going to do this whenever the alarm come up or whatever. Basically, you tell your brain, hey, this is taken care of. You don't have to think about it anymore. That actually takes off your burden, whether you need because even if you don't, sometimes people can't sleep because they have things on their mind.
Oh, I mean, shit, that happens all the time. That's why these days, whenever it happens to me, I used to all night long would be thinking about something, and then I would get no sleep and then wake up just so groggy and like, oh my God, what the hell happened? And I couldn't really think clearly. Like these days, I shit you not, like when that happens, it's getting rarer and rarer for me these days. A lot of times it's like book reflections and stuff like that now, or, actually very recently it's been like, because I just started a new job. So some of the stuff that's like ideas of what I want to do and things like, I just wake up and write it. I mean, I'll just get up, it's 3 o'clock. I'll just get up, I'll go write, and I'll go back to bed. I can't fucking sleep. I know what's going to happen. I'm just going to sit there and think about it over and over because I don't want to lose the thought. And then I'm like, that's it. I'm just getting the fuck up. And actually that was the night that before Amelia's funeral was when I was, I was struggling to write her eulogy the day before. And I was
so many things in your mind.
Right. And I woke up at 2 a.m. and I was like, I had I had the whole thing in my head, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And then I was like, I can't, I was like, I'll just hold it there, and we'll write it in the morning. I was like, I'm not going to remember this in the morning. I woke up at 2 a.m. and typed the whole damn thing. And I felt so relieving just to get it out of your mind, to say like, here, I'll come back to it in the morning and look at it again and make sure that I can clarify some of my own thoughts. But that's the beauty of journaling. You're not trying to be perfect with it, right? You're just trying to get it out of your head. And then you can come back to it later on down the road. If you looked at my journal, you'd probably be like, what the fuck is this shit? I mean, some of the stuff is just like all over the place. I'm not joking. I mean,
That's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, to me,
right.
like whatever I write down is a bunch of notes that only I know.
Right.
I mean, if people look at it and say, I have no idea when I say a certain thing, but only I know. To me, writing and sleeping is one of the top two brain hacks that I know of, because you can influence your brain in a lot of ways by sleeping and writing in a combination of the two. Think about your eulogy for your daughter. I mean, you wouldn't be able to sleep if you force yourself to, because you have so many things in your head. And at the same time, you wouldn't be able to orchestrate a beautiful eulogy without the sleeping that you had, right? So for me, it's like writing is a brain hack, sleeping is a brain hack. Put the two together, it's very, very powerful.
I totally agree. And this is only talking about yourself. We're talking about Marcus Aurelius's meditations, hundreds of years later. That's something we haven't even touched on, is the power of just sometimes getting your thoughts out and sharing them with other people when they can go read them. Like, there's so many people that don't document. Think about all the human lives that have come and gone, all the beautiful thoughts and beautiful questions that have popped into people's heads every single day. At least one or two questions where it pops in your head and you're like, man, that's brilliant. And then it goes away. Like, I mean, I'm joking. I know what happens to me if you don't write it down. Think about all the brilliant questions that go on out of the 7 billion people that live in this world every single day, or the brilliant idea that popped up, or the frustration or the anger or the big life lessons that were learned. And then that's it. Like, it only existed in our mind and now it's gone, Right.
And it disappears. And that's the thing with a lot of things we are distracted with, things will come and go quickly.
I wrote in this reflection, for 34 years, I don't remember much of my life at all. You were talking about, like, with the book and the journals and how I wouldn't be able to write it. Like you said, how it transports you there. When I go read my own journal writings, I'm so thankful that I documented her life, because there's things that I forget. I would say 80% of it I forget. It's slowly fading every single day. I'm almost basically the same as you are, as visualizing myself back there at this point in time, of going, well, am I even that person anymore? I'm incredibly grateful that I have that memory, that I can always go back and relive that with my daughter. If I didn't have that, it makes me sick to my stomach to think about that not existing. I don't care if anybody ever reads it, but for me, it's incredibly powerful, because that's her life. That was literally everything that happened to her in her life. And if I forget it, then, and my wife forgets it, then who's going to remember it? Like, I mean, nobody's going to remember that. Like, that's, nobody will remember Amelia at that point in time. I could not ever fucking have that happen. And like, yeah, I mean, it's, I can't even imagine what my life would be like without that journal, and the journal now. I mean, it continues. It still lives on.
Imagine your power is get diminishes over the years, and eventually you lose that power altogether. I mean, that memory is all gonna go. You only remember the heartache, and not the so inspiring moments. When she's fighting dearly, heroically for a chance at life. You only remember the pain that it cost you, and that's all it's gonna leave you with.
And it's a pain that you can't understand either. It's the body keeps the score at that point in time. Like, you haven't even processed it. It's just buried deep down in you, and you're like, well, I don't really see it every day anymore, and I don't really remember what it was, but I remember that my body remembers that it's there, and it's never been lifted out of my mind to get rid of it either. Like, I mean, that's when the body keeps the score, right? I mean, it's like, if you journal it, the journal can keep the score, and like that's a neutral party, right? Like, I mean, at least it's out of my head, the burden's off of me.
Right. And to me, that's the most important thing. Is a lot of time people get a lot of relief from their carrying on that weight, because sometimes it's too heavy. It's just too heavy to even carry on with life. And to be able to write it out, it lifts part of that burden into that book, into those pages. And so you're not having to carry everything. Some of it is going to be in the journals. And that's the reason why I think it helps a person very much personally, and also help people who reads it when you're able to pass it on to your kids, your grandkids, or whoever if come across a book someday in the future.
Agreed. It's crazy that I wrote this almost 200 days ago. Like, we're like, that just blows my mind. Like, I mean, that this has been going on for this long. Like it's, yeah, I mean, it blows my mind. I mean, there's just so much work that's gone into this project that it's like, I mean,
surprise you though. I mean, it's part of life, and when
yeah,
you have come to that logical conclusion, that decision you made, right?
right,
You should not be surprised, because this is who we are.
right.
These are our identity. We identify ourselves with the kind of work that means something to us. It's called meaningful work for us. So for that, it's going to be, we have all the energy and motivations to do this without end.
And it only reinforces it every single day when we do this stuff, to be honest with you. I mean, because I don't know about you, but there's certainly times these days when I have to think a little hard about, man, this is a lot, am I doing the right thing here? And then I hop on a call, and then I write my journal in the morning, I feel better. And then I write my reflection, I feel better. And I do some other stuff with Amelia, where we go on a run, or, listen to a great book and finish the book. And then I feel better. And we have this call, and then I feel better. And then I'm like, oh, well, the next day will be great. And then, then I'll wake up still with same doubts, and then I'll be like, what is the point of making these videos? What is the point of posting this shit online? What is, I mean, I get why I'm doing it, but like, what is the point of shipping this stuff out to other people? And then I remember it has nothing to do with that. It's always about yourself, and it's always about meaningful work for both of us and connecting those dots together. And then, whatever gets produced from it, that's great. Marcus Aurelius, I guess somebody produced a book out of what he wrote. I don't even think that he made this book. Like, I mean, I think this was made way after his time. Yeah. Like,
his journal, and then he just writes it from, just like a diary.
Right.
It's his personal diary, and somebody after almost 2,000 years, they say, well, Marcus Aurelius has a book, we found it, now let's publish as a book and make some money out of it. And it's good. It's not all bad, because we get to learn from Marcus Aurelius as well, as the people profiting from his writing and making a book out of it. But it does give the benefit to humanity by giving us a glimpse of what was going on in his mind back in that days. I mean, he's an early emperor of the Roman Empire, and so I mean, it's a huge differences in terms of the time when Marcus Aurelius was alive versus today. So we can sense some kind of a comparison in terms of how we evolved from 2,000 years ago into today.
And you can see the more things change, the more things stay the same.
There's this concept of writing, this concept of meditation, this concept of brain hack has not changed.
No, it's not. It is meditation. I used to say this all the time. So you guys really struggled with the formal sitting, legs crossed, I was like, I'm not good at it. But over time, I've started to realize what meditation is, to me at least. I can meditate when I'm playing tennis. I can meditate when I'm running. I can meditate when I'm writing. I can meditate doing a lot of things where I can focus on one particular idea or topic and express myself through some sort of creative act, right? To the world, whether that be sitting and thinking, or whether that be writing or tennis or running, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. Like, as long as you can lock in and focus on a thought and see it through to the end and share it with other people, like that's really all that matters to me. And that's called meditation to me. And I don't think that, I think that you're dead on. I mean,
so the definition of meditation is a written or spoken discourse expressing considered thoughts on a subject.
There you go.
That's meditation. It's not that you think it's supposed to be, right? When people think about meditations, they think about the chanting, the gong, and I mean,
pillows.
I think the theaters and the media has confused us in terms of what we know about meditations.
Right.
Because you look at the definition, is a written, a spoken discourse expressing considered thoughts on a subject. It's his journal. It's somebody's journal. It's somebody say, hey, I am expressing my thought on this. I'm expressing my thoughts on that. That's meditations. So
I agree.
So the thing is, whatever we thought was meditation was completely off, way off onto.
I think there's room to expand the definition, because I don't necessarily think it has to be written or spoken. I think there can be an act as well. You can meditate an act into the world.
Well, I don't think it has to be written or spoken. I think it has to be in thought.
or an action. Like I think you can do an action that's meditative. Drawing can be
Well,
meditative.
the
Painting can be
yes,
meditative.
and I agree. But my point
Athletics can be
still
meditative.
comes from the thought, right? When
Right.
because you mentioned you playing tennis and meditation, you are actually using your thought to orchestrate the action, orchestrate being in the moment, orchestrate
Yes.
being in the flow, right?
Right.
Again,
Yes.
it's your thought focusing on that, because when you're playing tennis, you could think about, oh, I'm going to buy a grocery, oh, I'm going to go to a movie, right? That's not meditation. When you are going to play tennis, right, you are focused on the act of playing tennis itself, the
Right.
thought of the act. So comes down to focusing on that particular subject. To me, just a thought of a subject. As long as you think on a particular subject, focus on that subject, you are meditation. That is my definition. If I'm wrong, let me know. But to me, it's you think about something and you focus on that thought. That is meditation. If you let your mind wanders and do whatever it wants, then that's not meditation. You're not controlling your thought. You can control your thought by focusing on your breathing. You can control your thought on focusing on the writing. When you write something, Chris, you wrote in a particular subject. You say, hey, I read this book about meditation by Marcus Aurelius, right? When you wrote this reflection, thinking on this thought of meditations, or when you wrote the book of caffeine, right? You are focusing your thought on caffeine. So that's meditations. That's how I interpret meditations.
I would agree with one slight tweak. It's actually letting your elephant just express itself and getting out of the way. So I'm not thinking about something when I'm playing tennis. I'm thinking about not thinking about something. And then trying to let my elephant just express itself. Same thing when I'm writing. Like I'm just letting, like today I sat down with an idea that I wanted to talk about, and the reflection became completely different. Had nothing to do with it, but I was like, oh, I'm happy with this. Like, just get out of your own mind and let your fingers do your thing and focus on just getting out of the way of your elephant, in a lot of ways, that's when it's like meditative, the act that comes from just completely stepping back and letting things happen around you and getting in that flow state, I guess. Now, I get what you're saying, because it started with a thought.
Disagree with what
I started with a thought, but that thought, then I said, all right, I had the thought, and then I'm like, just let the elephant do its thing, like that's.
Well, the thing is, you can't let the elephant do its thing. You have to let the elephant do the things you want it to do. Because for me, let's say,
I guide it with a thought. I mean, and then I say, okay, elephant, go do your thing.
Right, because you say, hey, elephant, I need you to play tennis, right?
Right.
Don't think about like the after party.
Oh no, I agree. So you got to guide it with.
When the elephant thinks about after party, you tug the little, whatever, the harness, whatever you got it, tug it back to, hey, oh here, and then let it go, right?
Right.
But he goes wanted, you bring it back. It's a thought, right? If I meditate, right, I'm going to say I'm going to focus on whatever it is. Let's say I'm focused on fasting, or on what kind of things I need to do, what kind of food I need to eat to make myself healthy, right? I'm thinking about it, and that thought comes in, I process it. Another thought comes in and say, hey, tomorrow I need to go to the bank. Okay, the bank. Okay, put it out, right? So thoughts all will have a variety of different kind of thought that will come to you. You pick up the thought, right? And you put it aside, or you put it and you use it. This is meditation for me, is you pick up a thought that has to do with what you're doing right now, then you keep it. If a thought comes in and you say, well, this thought has nothing to do with what I'm doing now, I'm gonna put it away. It's not about rejecting that thought, it's picking it up, acknowledging, hey, this thought, but I'm not gonna use it right now, I'm putting it away. Going for the carrots at the back table where they have carrots and salad or whatever, you just tug it back to, hey, focus on tennis. It's okay, we know that, but leave it alone. So it's focusing the thoughts on some kind of a subject, whether that's tennis, whether that's presentation, business ideas, having fun, playing chess, planning vacations, or whatever. It could be just that, but you are telling your thought, focus on this, and not resisting the other thought as well. Because when you resist the other thought, because if I tell you, hey, don't think of a purple giraffe, what do? You get my point. So,
no, I get it. Yeah.
So the thing is, you have to acknowledge, hey, there is one, but you say, hey, I'm telling myself that this is not relevant right now, I'm going down. So this is controlling your thought. That's telling your thought I'm processing things and I'm filtering things out. And to me, this is my meditation. This is what meditation means to me. Be wrong, But now,
Oh no, I think you 100% nailed it on the head. I 100% agree with what you just said. Actually, if anything, this is kind of a meditation that we do every single night in a
it
weird way.
is.
You know,
It
I mean,
is because
we and it's
I'm
relaxing,
tune out
therapeutic.
everything else.
Right.
I don't think about, hey, I got to do this tomorrow. I got to do this tonight. I got to do or whatever. I got to go take out, the garbage or whatever. I don't think about any of that until, I think about it. But
So we're
when I
done.
think about
We
it,
look
I
up and
set
we're
it
time's
aside.
up and we got to go.
I set it aside,
Yeah.
So I'm focusing on being present.
Right.
You cannot be present until you can meditate. When you're in conversations with somebody, they deserve your attention, right?
Agreed.
And if you don't pay attention to them, I mean, you think about lunch, dinner, or your date or dinner party, or the drinking buddies, or a poker game afterward, or whatever, you're not there. You're living in the future. And that takes away your happiness because you're yearning for something that's not existed yet. And
Right.
most likely it won't become reality just the way you thought it would be.
It never will. Like, I mean, no matter what you try to dream up, it's never going to be the same thing, which, I mean, in a weird way too, we've been documenting this whole entire conversation and we call it a podcast or whatever. Really, we're just meditating. We're doing a joint meditation on a topic that I happen to write about from a book that I read, but I mean, we could do it with anything, honestly. And we were doing it with other stuff before. Now we just decided to concentrate our effort into a particular project, and that's.
And this
that's
thing is with these books that we selected, span boundary of knowledge, right?
For sure. 100%.
And like I said, what I do here is a meditation, but it makes me a better person in my own right.
Yeah, you feel better
In your own
I mean,
right. I'm a better person because I've learned some of these skills that I'm able to apply it to my life, right? I feel like I have make a lot of progress in my life in the last 2 years than I did in the last 20. I'm just following somebody else's wishes, expectations, and footsteps, or whatever it is I tells me to do. I'm doing it, and it did not end up well. And so, in the last 2.5 years, I feel like I make a lot of progress for myself. I'm a lot more calmer and more happy. I don't do things because people expect me to do things. I do things because it means something to me. If it doesn't, then I don't put the effort or time, and I don't feel ashamed of having to impress somebody. I mean, it's something that we are born with for whatever reason. That's with us because we need to feel like we need to be accepted by our society, by our tribe, by our community. But now that I've learned this concept, it's still there, but it doesn't bother me that much. And I
think you can find the path back. So like when you start to veer off of it, you're like, oh, I know that I'm veering off of it. I can find my way back to my focus, I mean, I feel the same way all the time. There's this new job that I'm doing right now. At least 10 times a day, a thought pops into my head of what the fuck am I doing? I'm not joking. I mean, I know what I'm doing. It always usually happens when I write about it or when we have this conversation or whatever. Like, I remember what it's about. To be honest with you, I moved to a company that's less sexy than the company that I worked at. I make a little bit more money now, but that was never the goal or the intention or anything like that. I'm working in an industry that I still don't really give a shit about and selling stuff that I really still don't give a shit about. But what I get to do every day, I really do give a shit about. Like, do I care about if this is going to be a success or a failure? No, I don't. I mean, deep down in my head, I remember one of the reflections that we did a while back was the Winning Ugly with Brad Gilbert book about the tennis book about winning ugly. And it was like, what if I didn't care about outcomes, right? Like, I don't really care about the outcome. I mean, I'm being dead serious with this particular job. I don't care if we crush our goals every single month, or what I care about is, are these people growing every day? Are they living their values as our team values? And are they living their individual values? Are they bringing their art to their job every single day? And if they're doing that, then it'll be a success for me. And I know that if I can get them to bring their art by me bringing my art to the job every single day, then I can go do that wherever I want to go do that, whether it be in Clubany, whether it be in another job, or whether it be wherever. And I know that those people are going to remember someday going, oh man, Chris really helped me to bring my heart out. And whether that it worked, it didn't work, who cares? It's irrelevant. Like, there's going to be a million jobs in the course of people's lifetimes. Like, I mean, especially this day and age where like the average tenure at a job, you go look at people's profiles these days, and it's like every 2 years they change jobs. I mean, like, and that's okay. Like, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing or not, whatever, but like, that's just the nature of this world. And it's because you're bringing your art to different places, right? I mean, these conversations help me to get back on track as well. For the first year or and a half of this whole journey together, it was Amelia that always kept me on track. Whenever I felt like I was drifting, all I could think about was her and the pain that she went through and the pain that my family went through. I don't feel that pain as much anymore. Now it's I still think of Amelia, but it's a different Amelia. It's a different thought.
Right.
It's like, let's just keep doing what we're doing and focus on bringing art into the world, and we'll see what happens. And that's really it. But pain is no longer driving the bus, right? It's more about purpose. It's probably more likely driving the bus at this point in time, and to try to keep focused on that and meditate on it every day. Like, you have to do this shit every day. I can tell you without a doubt, if I stopped doing this for a month straight, I would be so far veered off the path, or it would be so hard to get that flywheel going again. I don't want to have that flywheel stop. And that's probably my biggest fear, honestly, is that flywheel stopping. And I'm like, oh God, like, what did I just do? Why did I do that? I was happy. I was living a purpose-driven life, and now all of a sudden I was like, yeah, we'll take a couple months off. We'll figure it out. That is my biggest fear.
Why is it your biggest fear? Because
that means I'm going a different path that I want to go with Amelia. I mean, in my head.
I think once you find your core values, even if you say, well, I'm going to take a month off, it will lead you back to something like this. It may not be with me,
right?
But it's going to be with someone else. And you're going to do the same thing. Your core values leads you to where you need to be. I am very certain of that. As long as your core value is true to yourself, it will lead you back. Because I'm not fear of this or that other. I say, well, my core value is here. As long as I have my core value, as long as I'm doing things that make sense to me, has meaning to me, then doesn't matter. You can say, well, let's get rid of this, get rid of that, or let's do this, let's do that. Well, I said, well, does it align with core value? If it does, then we do it. It doesn't, I don't look at the point where I don't look at this podcast as a goal. I just say this is something I get to do every day. I don't have to, but I get to get on to a Zoom meeting with somebody that I enjoy talking to. This is what I looking forward. This is in my mind. I have never ever come up in my mind saying, hey, I'm thinking about the day where we hit this number of podcasts and we're gonna have this number of viewers. That even it may have crossed my mind, but it never stick. Not even for 1 second. It is, I say, I don't care. Like, that's not important to me. And that's why for me, it's like I say, this is something I can do indefinitely. Because I never have a yearning for an ending.
Yeah.
And same thing with the fear is if it ends, I don't think about it. I don't really care if it ends or it doesn't end. Right? Because my core value is still, do I enjoy doing something like this? If you don't have the time or you have a different path, no problem. It is what it is. Life is going to be like that. I'm going to figure out something to do similar to this one. But I'm not going to expect you to be like me, and you cannot expect me to be like something like you, right? Sometimes our paths have to be and diverge. But as long as it still has commonality, we enjoy the presence and the ideas and thoughts of one another. That's I am totally grateful for the time that you spend with me, because why would you spend time with me? I'm the only one you're talking to, versus with people that you haven't even met me in person.
That's true.
Have not met you in person. But you and I have devoted every single hour or more every day, and we're over time. Right. And what is it? I might pretending to be, hey, I'm this person, and what am I getting out of it? I'm going to do something.
I think if revising what I was saying about being impeccable with your words and revising my fear, it's more about losing my daughter in a different way. Like, I know I found her.
I think your core value is to remember your daughter, have that relationship with her, living for two. If you can continue to do that, it may be in a different method, in different path, but it's still going to be the same outcome, which is for you to be able to live for two. If that has never changed, regardless of what you do, it's still not going to change, whether you do that with me or with someone else. And like I say, we don't know what the future holds, right? Like I said, I can live life tomorrow. If I do that, well, there's nothing you can do, Chris. You can't bring me back from the dead, right? And so you're going to have to carry on living for two. If that's the case, and that's the case, and that's nothing to it.
Well, then it would be living for three. All right, let's put a pin in this one. We're probably over time at this point in time. So a question we can leave with everyone is, what's stopping you from documenting your own journey starting today? Something to think about, and the power of the journaling. And who knows, maybe in 1,000 years, you're the little weird guy with the statue with a weird beard and a hairdo,
could be you.
girl, or whatever, gender neutral, I don't really care, cover of your thoughts sharing with the world. So get out there and document your thoughts, write it down, and enjoy the process. We will see you all tomorrow.
Sounds good. Good night.